Dila boleh delete the author, my author. I dah delete tapi dia masih lagi ada.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi dan selamat datang saya ucapkan kepada semua yang sudi meluangkan masa bersama kami. Bertemu lagi kita dalam sesi perkongsian Disember 2024 anjuran Yayasan Penyelidikan Antartika Sultan Mizan. Kami sangat teruja pada hari ini dapat berkongsi ilmu dan pengetahuan yang sangat berharga. Topik kita pada hari ini adalah ada apa dengan Antartika? Antartika Unveiled, Bioperspective, Climate and Global Impact. Nama saya Muhammad Arif bin Muhammad Robi, pelajar tahun akhir kuliah perubatan di Universiti Islam Antarabangsa Malaysia dan juga merupakan alumni program Students on Ice Arctic Expedition 2016 selaku moderator anda pada pagi ini. Hari ini kita akan berbual tentang penyelidikan yang menarik di Antartika, sebuah tempat yang sangat jauh tetapi sangat penting untuk kita semua. Untuk itu, kita amat bertuah pada hari ini kita akan mendengar perkongsian daripada Prof. Dr. Siti Aisyah binti Haji Alias, seorang pakar dalam bidang mikologi yang juga merupakan pengarah di Pusat Penyelidikan Antartika Kebangsaan NARC Malaysia. Selain daripada itu, Prof. Dr. Siti Aisyah juga telah menyumbang banyak ilmu melalui penerbitan lebih 125 artikel ilmiah dan beliau juga merupakan penyunting dalam beberapa buah buku penting mengenai kulat marin di Malaysia. Semua ini adalah hasil dedikasi dan minat mendalam beliau terhadap penyelidikan Antartika. Tanpa melengahkan masa, mari sama-sama kita menjemput Prof. Dr. Siti Aisyah binti Haji Alias yang akan berkongsi pengalaman dan pengetahuan beliau mengenai penyelidikan di Antartika dengan tajuk Ada apa dengan Antartika? Antartika Unveiled, Bioperspective, Climate and Global Impact. Dengan segala hormat, saya mempersilakan Prof. Dr. Siti Aisyah.
Terima kasih Mr. Arif. Okay. Let me share my slides. Okay, boleh nampak ya? Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Terlebih dahulu saya ingin mengucapkan terima kasih kepada Yayasan Penyelidikan Antartika Sultan Mizan kerana sudi menjemput saya untuk di sesi perkongsian ini. Saya masih ingat ya, sesi pertama saya mulakan dengan kajian di Arktik dan saya juga menutup tahun 2024 di platform perkongsian ini berkenaan dengan Antartika pula. Okay, saya mulakan dengan bahasa Inggeris. Okay, so for today's talk, I'm going to give a snapshot on Antartika Unveiled, Bioprospecting, Climate Change and Global Impact. And the following are the plan of my talk. The first one, I'm going to talk about the important milestone in the early history of Malaysia involvement, and then trends in Antarctic research in Malaysia. This is after analysis of a quadricentennial of Malaysian polar exploration. And then I will also talk on bioprospecting in Antarctica. This about the global issues, loss and extinction of biodiversity, and what's the connection of it with bioprospecting in Antarctica. And then Antarctic genetic resources, the ownership, access, and the feasibility of benefit sharing. And this is a very important aspect also in bioprospecting. And then I will talk on the Antarctica's crucial role in global climate regulation. Antarctica, a unique hub for scientific research. Then it will be followed by Antarctica as a unique and irreplaceable region for scientific research compared to the tropical areas. And this is why, to me, why Malaysian scientists started to embark the research in Antarctic, because it is a unique and irreplaceable region. Okay, and then fostering research and innovation in Malaysia to tackle climate change impacts on Antarctic. And for this particular section, I'm going to give some suggestion how we can improve the research and innovation in Malaysia, especially to tackle climate change impacts on the Antarctic. And the last one actually is on encouraging Malaysia's research and innovation to address climate change in Antarctica. For this particular slide, I'm going to come up with few suggestions that to me is very important for Malaysian scientists to carry out their research. And last but not least is on the conclusion, justified or not, the case for Malaysia's involvement in polar research. And hopefully by the end of this talk, Arif especially would agree that we should involve heavily in the polar research. So I'm going to share two famous questions. Sorry, okay, he's going back. Okay, I'm going to share two famous questions, and the first one is, what did you do there, or what is she doing there? And the two questions actually back maybe 2 decades ago received many people asking about this. So I will take you along to answer, because even when I was there, you know, I also was like expecting, I didn't expect what I've seen, what I'm sharing with you in the pictures. What I was expecting only ice and rocks. Okay, then, okay, before I move on to sharing all those things that I mentioned in the plan of talk, let me share some key milestones in the early history of Malaysian involvement. And the first one was campaigns on Antarctic Treaty. In the 1980s, Malaysia significantly raised Antarctic-related issues at the UNGA, and this is none other than Tun M. He has instilled the Malaysian scientists to believe or to carry on research in order to make sure that Antarctica remain as a shared global asset that is used for peaceful purposes and scientific research rather than being exploited solely for its resources or exploited by the rich nation. And then, moving on from there, there was an early awareness and interest in Antarctic research, followed by establishment of MARP. And that was before the first familiarization trip by the 4 scientists from University Malaya. And then followed by international achievement. And the first one is Malaysia become member for Scientific Committee for Antarctic Research. And I remember during this time, Academy of Science Malaysia invested a lot of money to bring, I think, about 20 Malaysian scientists to attend the meeting in Russia. This together with a very thick document to convince the committee that Malaysian scientists have done sufficient or more than sufficient work in terms of science, and that we deserve to become a member. And then, without, I think there was some issues, but Alhamdulillah, with the leadership of Professor Datuk Dr. Azizan Abu Sama, Malaysia's success in becoming a member, and then followed by becoming a member of Asian Forum for Polar Science, for Polar Sciences, and in 2011 become Antarctic Treaty member, ATS member. And of course, in 2012, establishment of Sultan Mizan Antarctic Research Foundation, and it was established especially to spearhead Malaysian involvement in Antarctic research. Then, of course, we never look back. We just charge forward. And I think I can say for sure that now Malaysia, as a country, with the effort, we managed to engage in global science and strengthen its scientific presence on the international stage. So next, I'm going to talk about the trends in Antarctic research in Malaysia. This is about 25 years from 1999 to 2024. And you can see that the scopes of areas encompasses of ecology, geosciences, microbiology, biochemistry, biodiversity, and of course, physical sciences and policy areas. And a total of 587 publications, which being indexed in the Web of Science, has established Malaysia as the 36th most productive nation in this area globally. Okay. And then also for this period of 99 to 2024, we can see the increment of the publication. And of course, there's a slight decrement in 2018, 20, and this could be due to the pandemic at that point of time. I remember many of lab in NARC in UM especially, and I'm sure in other university as well, experiment after experiment being spoiled, or we had to destroy it because of the EMCO. There were many EMCO that suddenly we are not supposed to enter the lab, we're not supposed to enter the university. So the experiment all gone. And normally for us biologists, especially to come up with good papers, we need 2 years observation. Also 2 years collecting data in the lab. So that's maybe this is the main reason why there's an decrement. But I'm sure we are going to, with the support of YAPASAM, YPASM, with the grant, I know for sure that there will be more papers to be published. And if you look at this co-authorship network, the papers that we've been churned from these activities, this research, majority are collaboration internationally with England, Japan, Chile, Poland, Taiwan, and some Nigeria, and South Korea as well. Okay, and then this is the time that I'm going to talk about bioprospecting in Antarctica. And the reason I'm going to talk about this because, of course, in Malaysia, majority of us are doing life sciences, biology, and I'm going to touch this first before I'm going to continue with the physical sciences and atmospheric sciences. Okay, so the second famous question people ask me when I want to go to Antarctic, and also people ask other scientists as well, are there anything to collect or to look at or to investigate? Because to many people's perception that majority of us thinking that the continent are only comprised of ice and some big rocks. So when I first landed there, it was at Sesi Station, belonged to Australian Antarctic Division. True enough, to my eyes, in front of me, only ice and also rocks. And I started to become, to panic because I was expecting to find more substrates for my marine fungi. But then being a scientist, we have to improvise. We have to be opportunist and see what else that we can undertake, because that trip was a familiarization trip. It is not supposed to be a collection trip. So what I have seen, there are so many soils being influenced by the penguin rookery, by mosses, and from there I started to engage my work on polar soil fungi. And of course, everybody knows that it's a phrases or saying that in that same teaspoon of soil, there are more microbes than there are people on the earth. Okay. So now I'm moving into global issues, loss of biodiversity and extinction. Why? Because even 2 or 3 decades ago, there's already an issue of drug resistance. And also over the past 10 years also, there's an issue about loss of biodiversity, and yet we know the potential of those diversity for humankind in terms of medical, in terms of drug discovery, or in terms or for aesthetica as well. So back to this drug resistance, for instance, like the virus, bacterial, tuberculosis, cancer, malaria. Now we know that we need a stronger one because of these issues of drug resistance. And therefore, although Malaysia is the 12th mega diversity country, but that doesn't stop us to go beyond the beyond our maritime region. I will explain further later why we need to go beyond our maritime region. So based on that, that's the first reason that I used or we used why we need to embark our research in polar region, because normally the microbes that being produced in Antarctic, they are they produce very unique metabolites that can be used for many purposes, like for discovery for anti-cancer, antiviral, antibacterial, and all that. So this is similar with work of Prof. Michael, and I'm sure UPM, UKM, USM are doing the same thing. And the latest one, for instance, like Associate Professor Dr. Ahmad Fauzan from UMPSA, he's using the genetic resources from the polar region in order to combat obesity issues in Malaysia. How he's going to do or work on it, I'm sure one of these days for 2025, Yapazam will invite him to deliver a talk on his current project. Okay, so besides the science, besides the innovation of our scientists in terms of the genetic conservation, bioremediation, nutraceutical, cosmeceutical, I also would like to acknowledge the work for public awareness of Associate Professor Dr. Nurul Huda. This, if you can see here, the book on your right corner side, bottommost, this is her fourth book of for children. This is to create awareness for climate change, biodiversity issues, the loss of biodiversity due to the climate change or global warming. Okay, so now we move on to the next one. So this is an example of what I meant by antimicrobial activities. What I meant by in the same teaspoon of soil, there are more microbes, 10 billion to 1 trillion, than there are people on the earth. At the moment, our planet comprised of 8 billion human beings. Okay, so you can see here some antimicrobial activities by Pseudogenes species, fungi. This clear zone whereby it killed the bacteria here. So unfortunately, I cannot proceed with this research further because the group in at the moment in the institute are focusing more on the roles and adaptation of fungi in towards the elevation of temperature UV. This is related to climate change research. But I most welcome scientists from Malaysia to continue our preliminary research when it comes to fungi. Okay. So now I would like also to share other example of the importance of Antarctic bioprospecting based on other people's research, from antifreeze proteins to cancer treatments. So the best example that I can give is on antifreeze protein by Antarctic bacterium, Flavobacterium frigoris. This protein exhibits exceptional ice binding properties, so it will improve texture and stability during freezing and thawing cycles. And even though there are probably 2 patents for this, maybe, but I don't think it should stop there. I think Malaysian scientists, there are many bacteriologists are working, doing research in university and involved in Antarctica. They perhaps should continue for this particular research, and also for the young and new scientists as well. Then the second example is Antarctic sponge. There are 3 patents that I'm aware of, but I give you an example of 2 patents. For this particular species, Patrica variolosa, they are known to have anti-cancer entity, and I think it probably has been developed, I'm not sure, because sometimes the research on anti-cancer will take years, 10 years, before it can be on the shelf to be sold as a drug. Okay, now, next. Okay, for bioprospecting, the issues, Antarctic genetic resources, about ownership, access, and the feasibility of benefit sharing. So there are many issues here, many questions that I myself have been trying to search any document that have been expressed during the ATCM meeting, but I have not been attending that meeting maybe for more than 7 years now. So the issues actually are very important because we know that many countries over the world that involved in Antarctic research are doing the bioprospecting. But the following questions yet to be answered. For instance, who owns Antarctica? And then the Antarctic Treaty System does not explicitly regulate biological prospecting activities. And then who holds ownership of Antarctic genetic resources? Then can scientists legitimately access these resources in the Antarctic Treaty area? And is benefit sharing feasible? If so, who should be included? And then who owns the commercial products derived from these resources? So these are the important questions that many, those scientists or policymakers should try to answer, if not now, but sooner. Okay, next, I'm going to talk about Antarctica's critical role in global climate regulation, a unique hub for scientific research. And this particular topic actually have been, how should I say it, have been addressed as in many themes of Malaysian International Seminar on Antarctica. That is where Malaysian scientists sharing their finding, exchanging their finding or ideas during that event that is being held every 2 years. So we move on to, okay. So I would like to share few important aspects. What would be the impacts, not only global impacts, but also to Malaysia in particularly. So the first one, rising sea levels. There's Thwaites Glacier, it's being called Doomsday Glacier, a massive glacier in West Antarctic that plays a critical role in global sea level regulation. And imagine if this glacier melt slowly but surely, it will definitely impact not only the Antarctic, the maritime region, but also can reach Malaysia as well. Then, recently, there are more frequent and severe natural disasters. I'm sure no one can deny this, especially in Malaysia. There are so many, this climate change has increased ocean temperatures and then driving more frequent and intense tropical storms due to climate instability. And if you remember, if you attended Dr. Shiba's talk, I think it's the one prior to mine today, she did explain in greater detail how this actually happened. It's very technical, but I think the evidence are there based on tremendous data that have been collected for many years in Antarctica and also in Arctic also. And then public health, of course, when there's an increase of temperature with these frequent severe natural disasters like flooding, can cause increase in the spread of mosquito-borne diseases, and then water quality and sanitation in flood-affected areas that may deteriorate and thus increasing the risk of waterborne diseases. So these are the impact. There are many more, but the main thing that I'm going to share later, the importance of Malaysian participation in doing this. They can project, I won't use the word speculate, but project what would happen, for instance, in this month, December, or even last October and November, the flooding series in the East Coast especially, and the meteorology department managed to project or also to um, to do the modeling based on the data that we have collected, or based on the surrounding data, not only surrounding data, but also the Southern Asian data that they can use in order to use some model to project what would the not only the temperature, but also the weather be, especially the October, November, and December. And sorry for this one, disruption of marine ecosystem, the impact. And of course, based on the disruption of marine ecosystem, there has been a reports on shifts in fish habitats or declines in certain fish population that can impact Malaysia's fishing industry. And currently, University Malaya are doing some engagement research with Mahmeri people. And through our engagement, it has been confirmed that over the past few years, they have discovered there's a drop in fish capture, which impact their own income. So later I will mention the importance of this, because we need not only to help the Mahmeri people, but Malaysian population as a whole. And then economic impact, of course, it will affect economic sectors such as tourism, fisheries, and agriculture. And then this followed by the disruption of local weather patterns. And for this, when there's a disruption of weather patterns, definitely it will affect agricultural yields due to the erratic rainfall patterns, therefore will affect food security. And of course, the effects or the outcome of all of this, Malaysia now, we can see that Malaysia has shown more commitment to global climate agreements, and we have become a member of Paris Agreement, I think in 2016. And also we can see that Malaysia now becoming more active, not only to carry out, but also to offer a research grant that include to improve or for better urban planning, for green technologies, public education about climate change. And you can see also for this 2025, the theme that YPSM used or picked for the grant proposal, you can see that using technology and bring it back to Malaysia when it comes to Antarctic research. Okay, just bear with me. It's going to be a bit wordy, but I'm going to mention the main point now. Why that Antarctic is a replaceable region for scientific research compared to tropical regions, and some important reasons why Antarctica is critical in terms of ecosystems and its role in the global climate. The first one, it is global ice reservoir. More than 70% of world's freshwater is in the form of ice. So we don't want this 70% becoming lesser, because it will definitely cause significant sea level rise. And then its influence on global ocean currents. This will help to regulate global temperatures, and then also source of climatic change data. We know that many nations have been collecting many data, because Antarctic ice is a historical record of the Earth, and therefore research in Antarctica provides more precise insights into global climate patterns, which cannot be obtained solely through research in tropical areas. Okay. So now, the following slides, I'm going to talk or make some suggestion in fostering research and innovation in Malaysia to tackle climate change impacts on Antarctic. And the suggestions actually are based on what I have seen and what I have read, and also what many scientists have shared, including Malaysian scientists. The first one is to expand research funding and innovation grants. And I would say the best example is what Yapazam is doing at the moment. And I know they are trying to obtain more research grants from the ministry, because from that it will be channeled to the universities, to researchers, not only to be channeled, but also to the universities can match the grant. And this will open more windows for other scientists, for other researchers to do their research. And then involving the private sector and perhaps invest in climate change related projects through tax incentives can, initiate more involvement of the private sector. And of course, international cooperation through accessing the global funds. Second one is developing local researcher capacity. And I believe Malaysian scientists and also YPSM are doing their level best to have this. But again, if we don't have that number one, which is research funding innovation, we can proceed, but not to our level best. And the third one is enhancing research infrastructure. We have to have specialized laboratories. And this is like, when I said specialized laboratories, it's not only a core room or a walk or a freezer, or not a freezer, a fridge, to mimic the Antarctic situation condition, but also specialized laboratories now for the engineers, maybe for the engineers to conduct their experiment on how to probably to build a good material for stations, so that it will be categorized as green technology. That's one of the example. I will give more example later. And then access to Antarctic. This can be done by strengthening relationship with partner countries. I think we are currently been doing that very actively. Okay, and then integrating tropical and polar science. This is what this is very important, because we can understand now, I'm sure very much that everybody realized that what happened in the south can easily affect the tropical region as well. I think by now, the group in NARC, especially Dr. Shibab, especially of course Prof. Azizan and team, and then the USM team, and then UMT team, I think led by, for this particular work, led by Dr. Hafiz Joffrey. His work is very important in order to combat this climate change. Okay, I still have time, Arif? Okay, all right. So next is raising public awareness and education. Okay, and then multi-sector collaboration, and then developing policies to support innovation. And this is very important. And I think item 7, the government should create policies that promote climate research by providing special grants, reducing bureaucracy, and protecting researchers' intellectual property rights. And then documenting and communicating research success. This is what like Dr. Nurul Huda has done. This is what like Yapazam have been doing actively, especially in 2024. And then promoting technological innovation, develop the green technologies. And I think for 2025 research grant, it would be very good if scientists from other universities, from Malaysian University, try to use this scope in order to be in line with Yapazam theme for 2025 grant proposal. And of course, the last one is to engage with international collaboration through attending LTCM meeting or Open Science Conference, and also SCA delegate meetings. So I'm going to be very quick for this, because I think there is time constraint. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, so these are the following the following ideas are something that I would like to suggest for Malaysian Antarctic or even Arctic scientists to carry research. And the first one is on renewable energy solutions, involve solar power, wind energy, geothermal energy, and then advanced climate monitoring and data collection through satellite technology and also autonomous drones. And then sustainable research station, this is what I mentioned earlier, zero emission stations and eco-friendly infrastructure. Perhaps engineering department can come up with this. And then marine and ice biotechnology. We've seen the example of anti-freezing protein and then bioremediation. I know USM and UPM are actively doing this. And then artificial intelligence and climate modeling. We cannot run away from AI now. Okay, so we can develop or advance the climate models using machine learning, AI, and this can also, we can also come up with data integration platforms. And the last one is on eco-friendly transport solutions. This, for example, electric vehicles and low emission aircraft and also sustainable shipping, especially to those to Antarctica, because we know for this particular 2024, almost 200,000 tourists entered the continent. I think the highest number. Okay. Okay. So the conclusion, why Malaysia must take an active role in Antarctic research? The first reason, because Antarctic is a global natural laboratory. Second, it's also important for global climate change study. And then it can be a part of educational inspiration and public awareness. And of course, it's very important for geopolitical and scientific diplomacy and advances in engineering and technology. So of all this also, we also know that this research underscores commitment to planetary sustainability in many aspects of SDG. So I'm going to read the conclusion, why Malaysia should be involved. So although tropical regions are critical to explore, as many public have been debating when Malaysian investing in Antarctic research, but research in Antarctic is very important to understand the more significant mechanisms that govern the world's climate. And Malaysia must take, or not must take, must lead also together with other nations in order to get more comprehensive in order to combat the global warming or effect of the climate change. And then this research is not only relevant to global science, but also critical in protecting the Malaysian people's well-being from climate change threats. And the last one, I would say that this is, if I may speak in Bahasa Malaysia, it is satu keperluan strategik, bukan sekadar pilihan. Sorry. And before I end this talk, I would like to share something that is very important for Malaysian scientists, the things that we faced that include the escape. When I said the escape is, I remember the first expedition when I was at Peter's Island. Suddenly we were called back to the station as soon as possible because the westerly wind is coming towards us. And at that point of time as well, 2 weeks earlier than that, there was an incident, British Antarctic Survey, if I'm not mistaken, the scientists being blown by the wind and was not being found. So we had to struggle through the ice pack to go back to the station to escape from the, that situation. And then the rescue, when people stranded, we had to go and rescue them. I remember when I joined the SANAP, South African National Antarctic Research Program. We were heading south and suddenly we had to detour a little bit because there was a yacht with three people. The captain is missing due to the very strong wave at that point of time. And then the marathon, when I said marathon, we had to rush to collect samples. And at the same time, we have to make sure the samples being collected are following the standard, the scientific standard. And then the hunger, because, we have to walk 8 hours in the field to collect, because we want to go further as much as possible from the station in order to reach the pristine area. So we had to face that. And of course, the death. And if you see on your right, the guy who helped us with the not only field work, but also some data on the temperature and all that. During the field work, there was a big chunk of ice fall onto him. And yeah, that was, I think, one of the sad things that I've the experience. And then, of course, the history. And this history, the old huts, So this research is not only about the science, but also when you go through all this, you will realize how important that is for us. That will, how should I say, that will instill the humanity in you, the critical thinking in you as well. Okay, so with that, I would like to thank many people, many institutions. Pardon me if I got to put some of the important bodies or people, but these are the following institutions that I would like, and the ministry that I would like to thank, or we would like to thank for their contribution to our research. Okay, so with that, I would like to thank everyone for your attention. Yes, Arif.
Terima kasih saya ucapkan kepada Prof. Dr. Siti Aisyah atas webinar yang disampaikan sebentar itu tadi. Terima kasih atas perkongsian, dan antara isi penting yang ditekankan oleh Prof. Dr. Siti Aisyah sebentar itu tadi tentang efek ataupun kesan daripada climate change yang berlaku di kawasan Antartika, antaranya kenaikan paras air laut, bencana alam yang semakin meningkat, juga kesan kepada kesihatan awam ataupun public health dengan penyebaran jangkitan penyakit berjangkit daripada nyamuk seperti denggi dan juga malaria, kemusnahan daripada ekosistem marin dan juga perubahan cuaca di kawasan tempatan. Dan saya juga sangat tertarik dengan beberapa cadangan yang diutarakan oleh Prof. Dr. Siti Aisyah sebentar tadi tentang pelbagai inisiatif yang perlu dilakukan oleh Malaysia untuk membantu menambah baik lagi penyelidikan di Antartika. Jadi terima kasih Prof. Dr. Siti Aisyah. Sekarang sudah tiba masa kita kepada sesi soal jawab bersama Prof. Dr. Siti Aisyah. Dipersilakan kepada para hadirin untuk bertanyakan soalan. Saya buka kepada peserta untuk menulis atau menaikkan soalan di ruangan chat.
Okay, I saw Prof. Queen about the slides. Of course, Yapazam can share the slides. No problem at all. Thank you, Prof. Queen.
Thank you, Prof.
It's nice to see you here.
Again, how are you?
Okay. I have put your photos in Barrentos Island when you
Oh,
were
okay. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Specimen sample.
Thank you.
Okey. Jadi di sini ada soalan. Saya bertanyakan kepada Prof. Dr. Siti Aisyah. Jadi apakah semangat yang boleh Prof. Dr. Siti Aisyah kongsikan untuk melakukan penyelidikan di Antartika serta kerja-kerja di lapangan Seperti sedia maklum, Prof. Dr. Siti Aisyah merupakan seorang wanita. Jadi keadaan di Antartika agak mencabar sebagai untuk melakukan ekspedisi dan juga penyelidikan. Jadi Prof. Dr. boleh tips. Silakan Prof.
Okay, thank you, Arif. Dua perkara. The first one, I am actually being trained in UM under the program Biodiversity and Ecology that involved many fieldworks. And the first year I took geology subject because I love outdoor activities and also, fieldwork. So based on what I've been trained and exposure in Malaysia, I think that really helped during my few expeditions, because I just love to go outside and explore and try to connect and bring back to the lab. And then also you mentioned about being a woman. I think with proper organization, proper planning, either you're a man or a woman, you will be, inshallah, will be fine, because especially when you work with, I'm sure I saw Prof. Azizan, I'm sure he will concur with me, especially when you work with a big institution like the Australia or New Zealand, they really outline the procedures, and those procedures are mainly for security. And then again, if you're referring to women, from my experience, it didn't hinder me. It didn't stop me from going to the same place where men are going in the Antarctic region. And that mainly because of the proper planning that we had. Yeah. So Arif, I hope I'm answering your question.
Ya, okay. Terima kasih Prof. Dr. Siti Aisyah tentang semangat yang ditonjolkan oleh Prof. Dr. Patut dicontohi oleh semua yang menonton kita pada hari ini. Jadi mungkin soalan terakhir daripada untuk webinar kita pada hari ini tentang melihat kepada keadaan sekarang dengan penyebaran luasan tentang sosial media dan perlibatan aktif belia ataupun anak muda dalam sosial media, boleh Prof. Dr. Siti Aisyah kongsikan sedikit tentang apa peranan yang boleh belia ataupun anak muda kongsikan atau libatkan diri dalam pendidikan Antartika. Okay, silakan Prof.
So Arif, you were talking about social media. That would include IG, Instagram, TikTok, and of course Facebook. And I think me personally, also I'm using that social media platform also to channel the knowledge to many, but I don't have many, I'm not an influencer, of course. So not many people are following me, but I still use that. And of course, when it comes to the, people like Arif, the new talent, the young talent, I would encourage to make full use the media platform cleverly, wisely. And I know many of the students, they are into biodiversity conservation and to champion the climate change. So that is, to me, that is the best platform, because it's real time, and also you can share it with a live video. That is very important, because when you share it with live videos rather than a still photo, the impact is even greater. Yeah.
Okay, terima kasih Prof. Dr. Siti atas jawapan yang sangat bernas dan sangat memberi semangat kepada semua untuk terus menyumbang dan berbakti untuk menyebarluaskan lagi pendidikan di Antartika. Jadi untuk sebagai penutupnya, saya rasa kita...
Sorry, can I ask something?
Ya, boleh.
Yeah, excellent talk, Prof. Siti. Yes. I mean, just now, just following, echoing what Encik Muhammad Arif mentioned about this outreach to the students and all these things. I believe that the NARC and Yapazam have initiated a lot of activities on this outreach to the students and also the public. So now we understand also Malaysia now we have serious issues on the STEM. So there are low awareness on the STEM and the young students are not interested in STEM. Do you think that this particular Antartika research or this will also help in terms of boosting the interest of the young students in STEM area?
Okay, Prof. Quinn, thank you so
Yeah.
much. I would like to repeat again, actually, Yapazam, I would like to acknowledge Yapazam's effort, especially to use the social media platform to boost this STEM. Some people use STEAM, STE.
Things, yeah.
So, okay. For information, like maybe 7 years ago, 2017, 16, 17, 18, Yapazam did initiate outreach program from school to school. Okay, and majority of the school they choose are the Sekolah Berasrama Penuh, not only in Klang Valley, but also in Sabah and Sarawak. So they had those questionnaires before the activities, and the outcome of the questionnaires, whereby majority, like what you said just now, the students, they don't like STEM, and they entered the Sekolah Berasrama Penuh because the parents wanted them to enter. Then we started with our polar outreach, like giving 1 hour talk and also some activities. And miraculously, I mean, amazingly, right after that, we gave them next questionnaires. And you know what we found, Prof. Quinn? They said they want to become a polar scientist.
Well, that's interesting.
Yes.
Is any way this particular information being published so that actually encourage more people to do some awareness on this polar science?
Not that I know of. I know we have been approached because through that outreach program, I've been invited by the Embassy of US and also few more to give that. And there was a company who offered to deliver the analysis based on those questionnaires, but it involved money. And I don't think at that time we have money, but I know those questionnaires are still with Yapazam. It is worth to be opened back and, like what you have suggested, to publish it.
Yeah.
And I think Mr. Hafiz back then, they did some very simple analysis, and the finding was more than 75%.
Oh, that's very good.
Yeah.
Very good. I think thanks to Yapazam and the team. Keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Quinn.
So we have another question from the audience. So the question from Sanjeev here. The question is, what are some challenges and opportunities for effectively translating Antarctic research to the Malaysian public or context?
Straightforward answer. Funding. Yeah, that's the challenge, because we can do so much, but we can only do so much. I mean, like what we had before, what Yapazam had before, 2016, 17, 18, because there was a funding from MSI, from MOSTI. And of course, there was no analysis being done seriously at that point of time. But if we have that channel, if we had the opportunity, I'm sure Yapazam and NRC can do a lot more. So those are the challenges. But if you want to ask about talent, I think the expert, I think our scientists, the young one or the senior one or the most senior one here, they are more than willing to share their experience. So that is something that Yapazam and NRC need to work on.
Okay, thank you Prof. Dr. Siti uh, atas penyampaian jawapan tadi tentang kepentingan geran ataupun funding yang disediakan untuk menambah baik atau membantu golongan-golongan membantu ahli-ahli saintis Malaysia untuk meneruskan lagi kajian di kawasan Antartika. Dan juga tadi tentang kepentingan bukan sahaja kepada golongan belia tapi juga golongan daripada pelajar-pelajar sekolah untuk kita memupuk semangat dan memupuk minat dalam bidang pendidikan Antartika supaya mereka dapat bawa lagi semangat ini ke masa hadapan kerana mereka adalah pemimpin-pemimpin yang akan meneruskan lagi pendidikan di Antartika pada masa akan datang. Jadi melalui webinar pada hari ini saya dapat konklusikan bahawa kita sedar tentang pendidikan di Antartika sangat penting dan semua individu perlu terlibat sama dalam membantu pendidikan di Antartika. Saya nak quote sedikit daripada Prof. Dr. Siti tentang Antartika. Kalau kita lihat secara kasar bukan sahaja terdiri daripada ais tetapi lebih daripada itu dengan microbiologinya dan dengan kepelbagaian diversity cukup untuk memberi input kepada kita tentang kepentingan pendidikan dan kepentingan Antartika itu kepada kita. Jadi banyak sebenarnya perkara menarik yang kita belajar pada hari ini. Terima kasih saya ucapkan sekali lagi kepada Prof. Dr. Siti Aisyah binti Haji Alias tentang perkongsian yang sangat bermanfaat. Saya yakin semua hadirin pada hari ini dapat memperoleh banyak ilmu tentang Antartika dan kepentingannya dalam menangani perubahan iklim. Terima kasih sekali lagi. Dan terima kasih kepada semua para hadirin yang sudi hadiri webinar kita pada hari ini sama ada di dalam Zoom ataupun melalui YouTube secara live. Terima kasih dan saya akhiri webinar hari ini dengan lafaz wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum.